What's up guys, Romsey here, back for another Raid Shadow Legends video. Today we have a complete guide on the Chimera. We're going to be talking about the best sets to use, the blessings, and then I'm going to do a run with you to show you each transition for each form of the boss. The goal is to go, 90% full auto and just have one little things we have to do manually every time. I've done this video for my French audience on my other channel and it helped a ton of players. So stick around to the end and I guarantee you'll be better at Chimera after this video. Let's get into it. Just so you know, I will be creating a playlist about Chimera. So a few hours or the next day after this video, I will be publishing a tier list of all the best heroes for this boss. And also I will be doing a complete video on my team. Today I'm going to show you the run just to see what to do exactly for each form. But I won't get into a lot of details in my personal team. I will be doing this in another video where I'll show you all the gear of my team and whatnot. So let's talk about the best gear set, the blessings, and then we'll start the run and look at each form to make sure we understand the key points to beat each form easily. So best gear set, you're going to have anything for the nukers, so damage dealers first. Very important. If you can, obviously any type of Slayer set will be amazing. Merciless would be amazing as well. And then anything that does ignore defense. So lethal, wherever it's at. Lethal is, where is it? Right here. Lethal right here. And then savage, of course, anything that's going to ignore defense will be great for your damage dealer. Then for someone like, I personally use Neck Mortar. So anyone who's going to be boosting turn meter and all that good stuff. Relentless would be good. Impulse, reflex, all those sets will be good for someone like that. The number one set you want to use as much as you can is protection. We'll see when we start the run. Protection is very important. If you can do a few champions, especially the ones that put a lot of buff on your team with at least 6, if possible 9 piece would be great, but if you can get to at least 6, that would be great. If not, even if you can only do 4 pieces, 4 pieces would be good. The goal here is to protect the buff. We have multiple forms of the boss that are going to steal the buff, and when they do, that's when we get in trouble. So let's try to put as many as we can, at least 6 pieces. If you can do 9, it's even better because it will also boost your damage a little bit. So just the blessings real quick, very important. So I don't use her, but I just want to show you. So on your team leader, ideally you would have a speed aura in all battle. You would want to use intimidating presence right here, just to get a little bit more speed. Then everything else will basically be for your damage dealer. So if you don't have 5 stars blessing, you want to use cruelty. If you do have 6 stars, sorry. If you do have 6 stars, I would go Crushing Ren for the damage. You do want one champion that has accuracy with Brimstone, especially if you don't have 6 star. I personally use my Lydia. She only has 2 or 3 stars, but I use it in Brimstone, and it does the job. I obviously want more stars for, but at least one in Brimstone, one with intimidating presence for the leader, and then everything else would have damage blessings. And then if you have someone who places a lot of debuff, you may want to go for Nature's Wrath for the damage as well. So that's basically what we want to do in terms of blessings. Again, next video I will show you, you will see my team right now, but I will go into details for the gear, masteries and all that stuff in a future video. So my teams, I use it in Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. For Ultra Nightmare, the goal is to do 112 million damage. I'm between 130 and 160, really depends on the rotation and affinity of the boss, because that's what rotates. So the main boss always keep the same affinity, but the other 3 form changes every time. So we had red last time, I believe, and now it's blue. So do keep that in mind. I am an endgame player, so this is what I'm going to show you is not an accessible team by any means, but it is also not a crazy endgame team, big old Kraken that's gonna allow you to do one key here and get all the rewards, right? I need 2 or 3 rotation every week to get everything. So it's not a crazy Kraken team, right? Like between 130 and 160 it's enough to get my ultimate chest and do some good damage for Hydra Clash. And 99% of players, endgame players, are gonna be where I'm at. Then if you wanna go further and do a lot, you need some very specific champions with all the red stars +4 and all that good stuff. So we'll be starting the run. Here's my team. Again, we'll do a deep dive in the team specifically in the next video. But what I want to show you right now is the run. So we'll be talking about each form, and then I'll show you the preset at the end of the video as well. So form number 1, the main form, nothing to it. We're going to go full auto, as much damage as we can. The only thing that's a little difficult with it, and it may surprise you sometimes, when you get back to that form, and sometimes it just one-shot your team. So that happens when, so it has an ability, it might be this one, before attacking, remove all buff from enemies. So the damage inflicted by this skill increased by 10% for each buff removed. So what you can do here is have a bunch of protection, like we just talked about. The protection set will be great for this phase. And if not, before coming back, just 1 or 2 turns, if you want to manual a little more. Again, my goal is to go 99% full auto. I will manual like 4 to 6 turns total. I'll show you right before the Viper form. But here really the goal is, before coming back to the main form, we stop placing buff on our team if we want to go manual and kind of like, do a 1 or 2 turn manual before coming back, just to make sure we don't place too many debuff buff on us. Or we have, a good amount of protection like I do here. I have enough protection on my Lydia and Pythion that I can just let it run full auto. And I should have enough protected buff that this form never kills anyone for me. So that's the first form. Pretty straightforward. Just control how many buff you have when you come back to it, because that's really when you could lose a champion. So when we get to the Rome form, so that one can be an issue for some players. It's actually extremely easy. You just saw it just targeted my Lydia, and my Lydia had that little green buff. I can't remember the name of it. It should be out here somewhere. The duel. So he places that dual buff or debuff, whatever it is, effect. Here we go. He places that dual effect on the enemy that has the least crit damage. So you do want to be careful that your reviver, which is my Pythion here, does not have the least amount of crit damage. So I do it this way. I make sure that my Lydia has the least amount of crit damage. That way she's the one who dies. And then I can be absolutely full auto for that form as well. So the other things, that boss has a reflect damage included in his kit. So I block all of my big nukes. Basically, Gnut and Marius, I just have them do their A1 just because I don't want them to do damage. It's simply, this form, we just stay alive and kind of ignore the damage on it. There's no point because we're going to be dying left and right. So I'm basically more or less just spamming A1, honestly, but I'll show you the preset at the end. So 2 things. No damage on that form, otherwise we're probably gonna die. With Gnut, you can, he has a kind of heal on his A3, so you can try to do the A3 once if you want, but I wouldn't suggest it because sometimes you're still alive, sometimes you die. But yeah, no damage, and then make sure, in my case, Lydia, you really don't want the Reviver to have the least amount of crit damage, because the least amount of crit damage is going to get targeted by the dual effect. As you can see here, when we get back, I didn't have that many buff, so I was able to stay alive, and now I'm getting my protected buff anyway, so I should be pretty good. As soon as you come back and you stay safe for a turn or 2, then you can just get back into the full auto rotation again. All the way to Viper, I'm full auto, so I'm gonna manual again 2 turn. First time we go to the Viper, and then 2 turn at the end when we go to the Viper again, and that's it. I just let it go full auto the entire time. Your goal damage wise, you have 65 turn, so you want to try to have double the damage of the turn count. You see I'm at 14, 15, so 30 million, so I'm a little over double the damage, so that's great. That's exactly what you want. The first week when Chimera came out, I was a little under that. I was able to up my damage. I'll show you how I did that in the next video when I show you all the details of the team. I was able to gain like a really good amount of damage actually, but try to stay, turn count to total damage. You want the total damage to be double the turn count. Sometimes again in the RAM form that we just add, you don't do any damage, so you may start losing damage compared to the turn count, but then you can make that up on the other forms. So do keep that in mind. Again, you don't have to be exactly double. You can be a little under on the damage, but if you can get to double, you're like perfect to get you 1 key plus some extra damage. We go back to full auto. Lion form, easiest form. Full auto, nothing to do. That's where we're gonna be doing a lot of our damage. Again, this rotation, unfortunately, Gnut is a weak affinity, which is kind of annoying, honestly. But that's okay. He's probably gonna die here just because of the affinity. First week when we had the first rotation, he didn't die, which was nice. He was like doing a ton of damage. This rotation, he doesn't do great damage. I just don't have a better option for nuking, and I don't want to be changing champion every rotation, honestly. I want to keep the same team. Same for Hydra. That's kind of what I do. I want to optimize my team the best I can and make sure it works on all rotation and keep it that way. That way I don't have to change champion every other week, honestly. So we lost some champion here, but that's okay. We're going to revive. Lion form, honestly, it's full damage. Nothing to it. It does a little bit of damage, but that's it. There's nothing crazy. There's no, having to set up a few turns before, whatever. We just go full manual, full damage, and that's it. Now we're going to get to the Viper form soon, and that will be where I'm going to have to explain a few things to make sure we stay safe during the Viper form. All right, so turn 24, right before the Viper form, that's when I want to start manualing, right? So what I want to do is, right now it's kind of perfect because he will have it back, but I want to make sure my Pythion keep that A2. So, I mean, right now I could have done it one more time, but I'm going to try not to do it again. And same with my Marius. I could nuke, if I had the defense down, I would have nuked one more time here for some extra damage, because then you can get an extra turn and get it back quicker, but we do want to keep this one as well, just in case. So for now, I'm just going to A1. So it's really just for Marius and Pythion, and then Lydia as well. I wanted to do A1. The other two don't matter. We can keep nuking with Gnut if we want to. I guess we'll do A1 here as well. We don't want any buff on us. So you have two ways of doing this. You can try to be lucky and go with Pythion and place the block buff and hope it's protected on everybody, which is very risky, but you could go that route. If you get lucky, you'll be protected and you'll be safe. If not, the goal is to cross with the least amount of buff as possible, right? And here, as you can see, she was not able to steal any buff, so we don't even need Marius to reduce you could reduce the cooldown you could reduce the buff with Marius if you needed to, but right now we don't need to do that. So, we crossed without any buff, that way she doesn't steal any buff. That's basically the goal. Now, because of the affinity, we do want to try not to die. Honestly, the week before was a lot easier. This week, because of the affinity, I have two weak champions right here. It's a little more complicated because if I want to revive, she's going to block one of the revive, and then I probably would die before I can revive everybody again. So right now we want to make sure we on one hand crossing and not letting her steal any buff. But it's a little risky in terms of people dying and not being able to revive quick enough. So it really depends on the rotation. Like last rotation, I was able to do that way, and it was very safe. This rotation is a little more tricky. So here we want to make sure we don't do the A3. We don't want to take that extra turn, but we want to try to apply the leash as quick as possible. We didn't do it, unfortunately. We're lucky here because we can play with Pythion, cleanse, and heal everybody. I could nuke right here, but I'd rather wait until I have the defense down. Same here. I'd rather just do A1. Now, I could block everything, all the abilities. I will do that next turn because I want to start building up damage, but also I want to protect myself. So I want to put the strength in on my team. So I'm going to do A2 with Lydia. And now I can go full auto. So this one's tricky. I would suggest then Lydia is going to do her A3 whenever the boss takes her turn. I don't know why that defense down is gone already, but anyways, now she's blocking everything, and now we should be pretty safe until we go back to the main form. So that's the only tricky form is, just slow down, manual 2 turn before crossing, and then once you cross, you're good. Especially if we place the leash here, that would help us stay alive a lot more easily. So there we go. Viper form, a little annoying, especially when you have some weak champions in terms of affinity. It could be tricky. So 2 ways to cross. You try your luck with the block buff and you hope it's protected. In my case, I have a 9-piece protect on Pythion, so I have 75% of protecting it. So that could be one way to go about it, and most of the time it should work, especially in that case when we have weak champions that can die easily. It might be the better way to go. If not, if you feel like you can survive pretty well, just go what I just did, to where you cross with no buff at all, and you make sure that you cleanse as soon as you can, if obviously everybody else can stay alive. So that's about it, guys. All 3 forms, it's full manual other than crossing to the Viper. I like to do 2 turn before I cross to Viper, and then the first 2 turn once I'm facing Viper, just to make sure I get all my abilities right, just because I don't want anybody to die, because again, she will cancel your first revive. So you just waste the cooldown on your revive, and then it's really hard to, based on who died, and if you're not able to revive that specific champion, you could get in real trouble and lose the fight completely. So that is for this team specifically, the Viper is the only hard part, I would say, to where I have some fails sometimes, so I do need to be careful and manual, but other than that, it's pretty straightforward. Everything else is full auto. Nightmare difficulty, full auto. I don't care about the Viper. I go full auto and it works every single time. I could manual a few turns just to make sure I build up some more damage, but my goal is to do everything full auto. So as you can see here, same as earlier, Lydia was the focus. She died, that's okay. We revive her, and then we just, staying alive and doing a little bit of damage. I will see you back at the end when we go back to the Viper, and then we'll see the final score at the end, and I'll show you the preset. All right, guys, so we're back at turn 54, about to go back to Viper. This time I will be showing you the other way to cross. As you can see, we're 9 millions away from 1 key. I had some really bad RNG on that run, because I've honestly done 160 million with this team before. On this rotation. Obviously, there's a lot of RNG, full auto with the damage dealer attacking when there's no defense and I'm weakened, and or Gnut doing weak attack, on all the other 3 forms. So really bad RNG on that form, on our run, but that's okay. The goal here is just to show you the rotation and everything works. So we're gonna have 1 more turn here. I want to same kind of save my abilities here, and this time what we're going to do, again, it's the riskier way, but it could pay off if it works. So right here, I know I have 75% chance of protecting my buff, so if I can, I will do this with Pythion, and I did protect all my buffs. So all he's going to steal is the speed buff. So as you can see here, I'm in a much better spot than what I was earlier, right? He only stole the buff speed, which I don't care that he stole this one specifically, and I'm going to be able to remove it. But as you can see, I'm a lot healthier. I don't have all the poisons, so it's definitely a good way to cross. The only risk is if one of the champions, you don't protect the buff on one of the champion, the Viper will steal the block buff, which is annoying because right here, for example, I could not be placing defense Zen and weekend. I would have to wait an extra turn. And of course, that champion could die because I would not have my cleanse available anymore. So that champion would probably die from the poison. So here I'm going to make sure I have the increased accuracy on Marius, and then I can nuke. I have defense and weaken, and I also remove the buff. So now I can go full auto. It's going to be a pretty safe go around this time. So a lot safer, as you can see, especially when the affinity is bad. But again, it's just a risk because you have 75% chance, right? So up to you how you want to do it. She did get controlled, but we were able to lock everything, which is good. So we should be okay, especially with the leash. The leash helps a lot because every time we do damage, we heal individually. So that's really good. Here we go. Unfortunately, she did waste a turn. She got control, so she's not locking everything down. So we gotta be careful. There we go. Here's the lock. She got resist. Okay. So I don't know if it was a 3% or I'm lacking accuracy, but we did get a resist. And as you can see, he blocked us from reviving Lydia, which is okay. It's not that big of a deal. We might lose another champion here. We stayed alive, so we're good. All good. We got our 1 key for the week. That's all I need. Again, affinity is difficult on this one. And crossing to Viper, sometimes it goes super smooth, and sometimes all goes down pretty bad. So as you can see, we lost a champion. We're just gonna have to wait a few turns. There we go. We can revive again, and we have 2 turns left to put in as much damage as we can. So that's it, guys. All the forms, again, 90-something% full auto run, and we just manual 2 turns before and 2 turns after Viper with this kind of team. That's very, very popular team. A lot of endgame players are using this right now. It's the easiest to set up and easiest to use, especially if you're like me and you want to do it full auto. I'm not spending an hour doing it manually. I really don't want to do that. We wasted some time here, almost 22 minutes. We did waste some time because we manualed a few times and whatnot to show you and pause a few times. But if not, it would be like a 17-minute run. And I got my 1 key. So it's not great. Again, I did 160 last time, which was a lot better. But 120, I know it's 1 key for Nightmare. I will take it. Now, just to mention the preset real quick. Obviously, Nightmare would be full auto for me as well. Preset on the ultimate form for Neck Motor, he's going to prioritize this one, this one, this one. He always does. He always does. I know Viper are manual anyways, and I don't have him do that actually. But it's because I'm manual for the first turn, and then I can put it back full auto, and then I do want him to do that first. Marius, so ultimate form, I have it this way, 1 and 2. I just like to use him this way because I don't necessarily need this buff. I don't need for that form. I don't need the increased defense and the increased accuracy. He's kind of the damage is kind of capped anyways with HP max damage based on HP max max HP. So I have him do that first. That way, when he does the A2, he reduces the cooldown of the A2 basically and have it more often. So that's why I have him this way. Ram form, like I said, no damage. Lion, same. Viper, all the way around. I want him to have the increased accuracy first, just in case we get some buff stolen. He can remove them with the A2. Lydia, she has some decent accuracy, so we get that 3% resist, which was very unfortunate. Ultimate form, I wanted to do the defense and weaken. Here, I just wanted to do the A1. Why? Because the Ram form can be feared, so placing the fear will help a little bit. So you do want to try to place it. So that's why we only want the A1 from Lydia. Lion, again, defense and weaken. And here, I should probably change it to defense and weaken anyways. I do want her to use the block active skill really quickly as well. But that's more important because we will do the damage, but also the strengthening will help us stay alive. That was the other way around was great last time when I was a lot safer. With the affinity issue, it's better to have that strengthen quickly and then lock the skills. Knut is going to prioritize A1 right here. I don't have him do the counter attack. I could. I don't have him do it. Why? Because it's an extra buff that I don't want when I cross to Viper. I could actually have him do it now because I do manual. I used to just do full auto at first. I was trying full auto, and that's why I did it that way. Now that I do manual before going to Viper, I could have him do it on the ultimate form. No big deal. When I get to here, like I said earlier, I could have him open with that just because he heals by 30% of the damage dealt. So you can get away with using it once and staying alive. It is risky, but you can get away with it. Lion, we're gonna do this one first. Viper, we do this one first, and we don't want to use this one during Viper just because it's one extra buff that we could have on us when we go back to the ultimate form, and then when the ultimate form steals the buff, we could die again. So we do have to be careful there. That's about it for the preset. In terms of trials, as you can see, I only did 2 trials again. Very, very bad luck this time because, again, usually I'm between 130 and 160 with at least 4 trials. So very bad luck for the video, of course. Yeah, as you can see, like Newt did absolutely no damage, like half of Marius, but you can have it all. You can't have it all. So it's up to you what is your priority, right? My priority is to do 1 key here and then do some trials. But, for a lot of players, if you want to do as many trials as you can, you will have to manual a lot more and set up the teams a little differently. So I don't care about the trials. You can't do it all. Even at my level, I'm pretty hand game, 25 million power account. I can't worry about the trials. It's just too much, right? So already doing 1 key on everything here on Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare is great. And I do get a decent amount of points here for the Clash, right? And it allows me to get up to the third chest here, which is good enough for now, right? Trials, obviously, if we could do more, would be great for resources for the relics, but you can't have it all, right? It's extremely difficult, even at my level, to do it all for now. So I do believe that somehow they will tweak Chimera at some point to where it's a little more accessible, I guess, because right now only cracking big whales and people that take the time to do it really slow manually and do the whole thing manually will get the really good damage and a bunch of trials, but it's not the case here for me. As you can see here, Jean got more damage and 6 trials. He probably spent a little more time than me doing it manually and set up the team a little differently as well. But here we go, guys. That is my Chimera guide. Very important things. So again, main form is when we go back to the main form, try to have least amount of buff or protected buff so that the main form doesn't do much damage with the A3. When we get to the Ram form, we want to make sure that someone else than the Reviver has the least amount of crit damage. So it's obviously not going to be your damage dealer, and it's not going to be your Reviver. Anyone else, someone placing debuff, like in my case, Negmotar or Lydia, can have the least amount of crit damage. That way we make sure they take the duo, and they're the one who are going to die, but then we revive them, no big deal. No damage on that form, otherwise we're going to die. Lion form, again, full auto, nothing to set up. It's just as much damage as we can. Viper form, like I said, 2 ways of crossing. Either try our luck with the 75% chance of protected buff with the block buff protected before we try, like I did on that second phase, or at the very beginning, like I did, we cross with the least amount of buff on us, and we make sure when we get to the Viper form, we have a cleanse, and hopefully everybody can stay alive, but it's a little more risky. That's it for the guys. Again, a few hours or a few days after this video, I will have a tier list up, and I will show you all the details of the team you just saw, which again, very bad RNG today, but it can get close to 160 million with more trials when I have a little more luck. If the videos are helpful, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channels. Let me remind you, I also cover King Arthur Legends Rise right now, and soon when the game is out and the beta is out, I will also cover Godforge. We'll see you in the next one.